Hey, CDA, and today we're playing some more Mindustry where we're trying to finish up the last couple of levels of the Serpulo campaign. Now, I'm actually going to do a new level today, but before I do that, I just want to show you something that completely surprised me. I lost the nuclear production complex a little while ago. I'm not sure how I lost it, but I lost it. So I figured, well, let me just go back in and recapture it again. Should be super easy at this point. So I launched, and you can see me landing over here. And much to my surprise, I landed into an almost completely functional base. You can see I have massive amounts of power stored up. I have pretty much my entire defense still up and running. The only main thing missing is the, I don't know, 60 tier 4 units or so that were standing on top of here along with some tier 3 units. You can see there's a path of destruction kind of going through here, through here, through here, and then to my main base. But pretty much everything else along that path, nothing is damaged. So let me know in the comments how I actually managed to lose my base here with pretty much my entire defense, including the power, by the way. And most of this is not actually running on power, it's just running on ammunition. Everything being intact, an entire army standing on top of that. I don't know, it's just extremely weird to me, but at least recapturing this zone will be super easy. Anyway, here we go. I did rebuild my entire base. I made sure I have some force fields added to that. Not sure if that makes a difference, but yeah, all in all, this should work fine. I did add a couple of meltdowns on the left. I added in some specters because I really like those. And well, honestly, it's pretty much a carbon copy almost of what I had before. So that means that this is going to be defeated again. I guess it is, but other than that, I do think this, as long as I keep an eye on this, it should be just fine. And I've done something similar for sector, what is it, 72M or something like that. I actually keep forgetting what this zone is called. So yeah, 32M, I remember it, there we go. This time around, however, I am relying less on meltdowns, but I'm relying more on specters. Not sure if that's actually an upgrade, but it was easier to set up, to be honest. Mostly because I don't have thorium over here. I also did switch back to pyrite production just because I can produce that locally. As you can see, I'm actually still in the progress of upgrading some of this, but I hope at least this will be a little bit more resilient against the enemy than the stuff I was doing before. I'm not sure if the force fields actually prevent fire, because that was the main reason that this thing was blowing up. It's air units flying through, bombing shit, everything taking on fire, and then the pyrite actually, or the other ammunition I was using, becoming a problem by itself. Long story short, I hope this works. If it doesn't, I'll just have to recapture the zone again. The main annoying thing about this zone is that the enemies fly through here, and it's very hard to actually shoot them out of the air before they reach like the inside of the base. And because they take various routes, okay, I lost a sector apparently. Not sure how that happened. It is getting a little bit annoying, I have to say. So just trying to recapture all these zones one by one. The really strange thing is, I didn't show you this, but that sector that I just lost was showing as surviving, but it was also taking damage. So every time I go into a sector like that, I can't find any damage, but then I leave and it's supposedly fine, and then at some point I lose those sectors anyway. Anyway, long story short, I'm not gonna bother you with even more ranting at this point. Let's just dive into a new level. There's actually only two of those that we still have. We have the Desolate Rift over here that is next to zones that are going to be attacking us, and we have the weather channels over here. I'm not actually sure if this zone is going to be attacked, but I'm hoping it's not, so this is why I'm going to go for this one first. Okay, so let's see what we have to deal with. It looks like another naval level, so that's interesting. The first wave is actually 3.5 minutes out. Are my difficulty settings correct? Yeah, they are. I'm still playing on eradication. That is interesting, because usually the first wave is like after 2 minutes or so. That is probably a bad sign. Okay then, we're going to be attacked from pretty much every single angle we can think of. Okay, let me think about this for a moment. Okay, so here's the plan. I have 5 different attack points coming at me, and normally what I would do is I build a defensive line very close to the spawning point, and that's just not going to work in this particular level. It would probably work on lower difficulty levels, but the fact that I have 5 of these just means I need to spread out my defenses too much. That will take too much time to build, and that's not going to work initially. So The second problem with that actually is because there's deep water next to two of these choke points, some of the naval units, if there's enough of them, are probably going to break through that because I can't block that off. And that means I need a secondary defensive line anyway. So I think probably the most efficient way to do this level is kind of just wall off this peninsula. With, of course, turrets and things like that. And then have everything converge on my base. And pretty much using several... using my defensive line to defend against several choke points. For example, if I build a defensive line over here, 3 of those waves are actually already going to come to a single point, so that makes your defensive line a lot more efficient. However, what I actually want to do, or what I'm actually going to do, is try to build tier 5 units. Mostly because I haven't done that yet. And use those units to do my defenses. Is that gonna work? I don't know. We're going to find out. But I really want to build a Corvus or 2. These things have a massive range. They attack everything. They have an atrocious attack speed, though, so that might not necessarily be the best thing. But they can also, repair my base at the same time. I'm not sure if that's the best option. The alternative might be to, for example, go for Omuras. These actually build flying units themselves, so that's kind of cool. They also have a massive range as well. Long story short, this might actually be the better option. The problem with these Omuras is that I would need to actually get them into the water, and that is not going to work from where I'm starting out right now. I'm not sure if this would work. It's very close. If it would be 1 tile to the left, then I'm pretty sure that this is connected well enough for that to work. But yeah, I just don't want to risk it. So what I'm going to do is probably just do something like this maybe, and then actually let's do it like this, and then start building tier 5 units. And I'm mostly going to be relying on getting the resources from the other zones into here, because I won't have a lot of resources locally. First things first, let's get my construction units up and running. Then I need to make sure I have all types of resources coming in, and especially I am going to need a massive amount of silicon, because all of this is going to drain that very, very quickly. Now, that gives us 2 minutes to spare, and I still need to get up my cryogen facilities as well as more power. And there we go. I have now still a surplus of power. I have quite a bit of cryogen production. I am actually trying to boost that as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough resources to effectively boost it, honestly, but it's going to be better than nothing. And I am going to be constructing my tier 5 production building now. You can see the tier 4 is already in production. This is going to be a massive drain of my resources. Honestly, I am not entirely convinced this is the winning approach to this particular level, but we're going to be finding out in a moment. Okay, there we go. As you can see, I have the additional conveyor belts over here to make sure that the Surge alloy and face fabric is going to go in here. That cannot be coming from some of the other directions. Well, it can be coming from the other directions, but it is unique to this specific building because the exponential reconstructor doesn't use those. So, just trying to optimize a little bit of the throughput into this building, because, well, I need, what is it? Almost 3,000 resources to get into this building before it can even start producing. So, that's going to be challenging in 42 seconds, but, let's see how far we get. Okay, so the first wave is here, and of course it's going to be annoying little flying units, but this should not be a problem. I can even just take my polys and things like that to defend against that. I do have the first Vela in the Tetrative Reconstructor, so all I need now is 1,000 silicon to be in here, and it's already working on that, of course. I did dedicate the unloaders a little bit to the main thing, so this makes sure that at least 4 different resources are flowing in here all the time, assuming I have those resources. As you can see, my silicon is at 0, which looks a lot worse than it is because I am importing 2400 per minute into that facility over here. But yeah, I actually tried to boost. I'm not sure if the overdrive projector works on a mass driver. Might do, I'm not sure. At the very least, it's going to work on the impulse pumps, I assume. So there's plenty of water coming in here. I just need to actually get resources as quickly as possible. And before I forget, I also built some basic resources. I was running really low on lead, so I produced some for this air blast drill. There's some more lead production over here. I'm producing some random titanium, because that's again something that I'm using quite a lot in everything I'm building. There's a little bit of overflow going into my base as well, but as you can see, this facility, this cryogen facility, is using quite a bit of titanium as well. I'm also producing a little bit of graphite. That's not really a bottleneck, but it's super easy to produce, so I might as well. I really want to kind of start producing some silicon on top of all of this, but that is not that easy considering the resource I have available right now. Okay, so I shot the first wave out of the air. I also built a little bit of silicon production over here. The sand is incoming, the coal is incoming. Why is this not getting any water? That helps if he actually connects the bridge. There we go. It's going to be not that much production, but I do think we pretty much have covered all our bases now, and we have the first tier 5 unit in production. That is honestly really exciting. I don't know how big these things are going to be. I don't know how effective they're going to be. But I look very much forward to figuring all of that out. Now, what else? I should probably build a little bit of backup power, not backup power necessarily. How are we doing on power, by the way? Oh, we're just ahead of how much we need. Although that is not really a problem. I can just work with that. Where am I importing my thorium? That is somewhere over here, right? Probably want to switch that up. Let's get the graphite over here. So now the thorium should be coming in over here. And build a little bit of additional power production over here that is also in the range of the overdrive projector. So I do have to admit that I don't really like how long it takes to produce units in this game, although it makes sense compared to how powerful they are. But the thing is that, especially on the higher level difficulty levels, it takes so long to produce these units. I mean, 2 minutes by default, of course you can boost this, but at the same time you do need a massive amount of resources to actually get the production up and running. That, yeah, as you can see, I'm already on wave 3 and I still don't have my first tier 5 unit. Now, again, that's the best unit there is in the game, so it makes sense it takes a long time to produce. But, you know, it's a little bit of a bummer, I guess. I am going to be setting up some specters as well, because I do have plenty of thorium coming in that I'm using for power, and I might as well start using it for a little bit of defense as well. So that is going to make my life a lot easier, because all of those flying units are getting a little bit annoying at this point. And yes, I have been exclusively attacked by flying units so far, and they are getting more and more dangerous, so I definitely do need defenses, because otherwise this is going to be a mess. Okay, so what I was afraid of happening is going to be happening right now from wave number 4. I am going to be attacked from the sea over here, but I'm also going to be attacked by the air, and not by anything impressive, but I'm going to be attacked from multiple directions at the same time. Now, the problem with this wave over here is that I wasn't expecting it to be here. I mean, the spawning point is over there. But anyway, I don't have any aerial defenses there yet. I've been building up my defenses over here, but, you know, this is completely vulnerable to enemy attack. You can see I actually got attacked by some air units on the previous wave. That did take out some of my batteries. Nothing too vital over here, though, so as long as my power keeps functioning, batteries themselves are not really a big concern. But, you know, I'm going to definitely have to build up some defenses on the south over here as well. There we go, we finally have our first Corvus up and running, and let's see in action. It's a very long, very angry, long-range laser. Oh man, these things are slow. Anyway, yeah, that's the first one up and running. The second one is in production. My power is still struggling. Why is it struggling? Because every now and then it is boosting up. How is this struggling? Oh, it's struggling maybe because the cryo fluid is coming in. I don't know. I have plenty of power, so I'm not sure why it's not showing it producing at full power. But anyway, one up, 34 waves to go, and I'm just gonna keep on adding specters to the mix, setting up my defensive lines over here as well. As you can see, my specters are doing a fairly good job at making sure the enemy flying units are not a nuisance. That's gonna be enough. Yeah, it is. But I definitely need to add in more area defenses to make sure I don't get overrun. Okay, I'm on wave 8, so far so good. My area units seem to be, or my anti-air defense I should say, is doing its job. Honestly, the Corvuses are not doing much. It's mostly my Spectres taking everything out, so I could have saved myself a lot of resources by just setting up a proper defense like that. But you know, it's fun to see these big-ass lasers firing on the enemy units. And they are doing quite a bit of AoE damage, assuming that they are getting their angle correct. So, you know, I'm not complaining. I am having a lot of fun with these big lasers. I have 2 of them now, with the 3rd one already in production. So at this point, it is just a matter of building some more specters, I guess, making sure these are actually water powered as well. I might as well. It's super easy and completely free to do. And sitting out the rest of the level, I guess. Okay, on wave 12 now, we are getting more and more naval units, but I also now have 3 of my corpuses. So let me actually see how this goes. Probably really, really well. These things have such a massive range, it's awesome. Should probably move this one up a little bit. This one can stay here to make sure we don't have air units going in the back. Yeah, this is just fine. It's mostly the Spectres doing the job, so this whole Corvus plan was, as I kind of expected, not the best. But you know, what we could actually do, now I think of it, we can switch to a different type of tier 5 unit. So how about air units? I mean, those are super easy to use. We can fly them all over the place, and these things have a pretty hefty attack speed, so that makes them quite useful to put up against massive amounts of enemy units. Yeah, why not? I mean, I kind of want to try out all of them, but these are super easy to produce and make a lot of sense in this particular scenario. Okay, I now have those tier 5 air units in production. I also put down some shields. I keep forgetting about these, but these are quite useful to make sure that well, your defenses last a lot longer. Obviously, I mean, that's their main goal, but yeah, I really like what these add to the mix. Yeah, so far so good. Almost halfway in. The waves are getting significantly larger, although most of these are just low tier units anyway. They are coming from multiple directions, so this whole try to cluster in the middle is working. You can see I'm actually getting attacked by ground now as well. So I am going to add in a couple more of these things over here. That does mean I can't boost these from this direction anymore, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm sure we'll manage. And then what we're going to do is make sure there is a little bit of boosting over here happening still. And then of course we are going to need to wall off just to make sure things don't blow up straight away. There we go. That looks good. I mean, it's a quick and dirty defense, but at this point I've kind of given up on trying to make everything look nice. I'm just making sure it's functional. We have everything that we need. Of course, I do need to make sure everything is powered. That works like this. Here we go. And look at that massive ship. Let me unleash that on my enemies. There we go. It actually needs to get in the range though, but still. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. So I'm actually going to put these on the front lines over here, I guess. That feels that they're going to be most useful there, because this is where most of the units are coming from. I do need to make sure that these things get repaired somehow though, but I think just adding in a couple of repair turrets, I can hide them kind of behind this wall, is going to be more than enough to make sure this doesn't die. I mean, it's going to take a lot of damage if it's up on front like this, but between the repairs and the fact that most of the units are not going to be there for a very long time, I think we should be fine. Okay then, well, the waves are up to something like 150 units per wave now, and mostly low level ones, but as you can see there are some higher tier units in there now as well. However, I have some tier 5 units of myself. How many of those do I have now? I have 2 Eclipses and 4 Corvuses, so that's 6 tier 5 units already. And there is a third one about to pop out. There we go. So yeah, this is starting to slowly add up, with the emphasis on slowly but surely still. That's the most important part, I guess. I am still a little bit worried that something might be able to slip through, especially air units are always the bane of my existence. So I've been adding in some meltdowns along with the Spectre, so I'm kind of like mixing between ammunition-based type of defense and power-based defense, although I don't have that much power, so I do need to make sure I don't have like 20 of these meltdowns firing at the same time, because that's not gonna work. But still, for the moment, we are still having everything under control, but we do have 17 more waves to go, so we're definitely not there yet. Okay, so again, I just lost the mycelial bastion, even though the game claimed that I was going to be able to survive that. Having to double check every now and then to make sure you're not losing zones that are showing to be under control is kind of getting to me. I'll be honest. I kind of liked conquering this zone the first time. Having to conquer it again, not my biggest enjoyment, honestly. I'm also kind of wondering if that has anything to do with the fact that I am on eradication, if that just makes the waves more dangerous or something like that, even though you're not actively playing the level. But anyway, I'll stop complaining about that, but I do have to say that that is not the favorite part about this particular campaign, at least not for me. One nice thing though about these corpses is that they're actually saving me ammunition, because they are taking out some of the lower level units even before they reach my base. So, I mean, it's not that impactful, but it does add up over time. The nice thing is, even though I'm being attacked by 200 plus units at this point, most of them seem to be coming from this direction. So I do get the occasional attack from here and here, but those attacks are not the most substantial, which is good, so I can focus my main defenses on the front. And you can see I have quite a few tier 5 units there up and running. I am actually going to be producing some of the other tier 5 units now, just because I want to figure out what they look like and how they function, and I don't know, just for funsies, honestly. So there's a couple more of these eclipses coming out, because those do seem to be a pretty decent way to defend myself. But then I'm going to switch to at least 1 or 2 of the tier 5 Vela version. I guess not the Vela version, it's actually the other one. What it's called? The Oct. So it's the flying version of the green, like mono, poly, etc. These are going to have a force field attached to it, which is awesome, and it's actually a very substantial force field that it also has a pretty substantial repair rate, so it's awesome for defensive purposes. And it's also going to be able to repair units across the board. Now, this is not actually going to fire at my enemy, so I don't want a whole bunch of these. But these are going to be a very nice support to put in the mix over here in my front line. I am a little bit worried about the Guardian wave that is going to come in 10 waves, but I'm hoping that there's not going to be too many units along with that, because in that case I might be able to just move out my Eclipses towards the Guardian and have it completely barraged by my tier 5 units before it can get to my base. Okay, there we go. We have our Octs, and look at that. That's a very blob type of unit. But I am just going to park it right over here in between these Eclipses, and that should make this a pretty much invulnerable type of area over here. Now, that doesn't mean that people can sneak in through the back door somewhere else, but still. I'm also producing a couple of these arachnid type of units, so you be warned, mostly because I want to see how those look. And after that, if there's time left, which there probably isn't, I am actually switching back to producing some more Corvuses, because I do really like how these things support each other. The Corvuses initially didn't seem to be doing much, but they do quite a bit of AoE damage, and they're taking out whole lines of enemy units, so that is quite handy. Things are getting quite intense. I'm actually going to switch around some of the supply of thorium towards my specters, because well, honestly, the thorium supply is running a little bit low, not in terms of the actual amount of thorium, but in terms of the amount of stuff I have on my belts. So if I do this, then that should fix most of that problem. Now, I do think I just removed one of the splitters over there, so let's make sure we have them back in. And then, yeah, this should do the trick. Now this is no longer needed, so I can take that out. No, I don't want to actually delete my Spectre. There we go. And the only problem I have sometimes in this game is I can't see what is going on below my ships. Move out of the way for a moment. Yeah, this is all working like intended. Oh man, there's so many units incoming now from all directions that I am getting a little worried that this might not be sufficient, but I do seem to be able to keep up again. But the thorium here is a problem. I might need to add in a secondary line to make sure that I can keep up. Okay, almost there. It is getting pretty intense now, because the amount of units that are coming at me just means I'm also going through my ammunition really quickly. And it really depends on which side of my base they're attacking. As you can see now, I'm struggling here on thorium, even though I do have a little vault over here to make sure I don't run out too quickly. But yeah, resupplying these things with ammunition does take a little bit of time, and time is not necessarily something I have a lot of. However, last wave incoming in a couple of seconds. Let's pause. Wow, okay. Where are they coming from? So these are, well, basically they're coming from all directions. That makes sense. The main, actually there's a couple of high-level units there. Yeah, we're just going to have to see. I think we'll be fine. However, I'm not entirely sure my entire base will survive. But the tier 5 units by themselves, and we just have the Arachnid popping out, actually. That is awesome. The tier 5 units should be able to do most of the work for me. Now, the real question is, where am I going to put this? Probably somewhere around here. This thing is ridiculously large. But, yeah, this is going to be fun. 500 units to go. I am just going to let this play out for a moment so you can see how I am doing. So, we are demolishing this base from the south. Away from the south, I should say. Now, this doesn't really impact a lot of things, so I am going to move this unit up here, so it's a little close to the main defense line. We are going to get a lot of units coming from the north as well. I think we should be fine to hold that as is. As soon as we've defeated this last couple of waves from the south, I am going to move out these units. I actually might want to do that now. We have some fire going, but nothing too bad, I think. This is a little bit of a problem, but I think we have enough ammunition to hold this. Let's pause again. How much more are we going to get from the north? Pretty much nothing, actually. So that means that this Eclipse can move all the way over here as well. Let's just add it in next to the Oct, because that's where all the repair is going to come from. Hey, this is interesting. These things have a lot of health. Okay. Yeah. Let's move these Eclipses over here. You guys are not doing anything at the moment, and we don't really need you for those, I don't think. Not entirely sure. These are the main enemies though, so yeah, it's pretty much all or nothing. I'm not sure if it makes a lot of sense to move these guys around too much. My Eclipses are doing just fine. It's mostly a matter of being able to do enough damage to all of this, honestly. I might need to focus fire a little bit. So let me select this, and let's just kind of target down some things in the middle. So especially my Corvuses are actually firing through the middle of these things and are doing as much damage as they can. All these healing units are a problem. So that's why I'm trying to focus fire now. This is pretty intense. I am going to keep these guys there for a moment, although am I? Yeah, this is not really that impactful. I think my turrets can handle this, so actually let me just select all my units and bring them in here. Is this my Oct or their Oct? It's their Oct. Oh, that's interesting. So let's make sure that we take that down. There we go. That should take care of a lot of the healing. Let's focus fire down a couple of the other healers. Yep, there we go. That's another one down. Let's focus down another one. I want all these green circles gone, people. I want them all gone. I just we lost my own unit. That's another problem, though. That's not a priority. There we go. Not sure where are you guys going? You decided to take a hike? I mean, that's fine by me, don't get me wrong. Oh, I did lose all of my importing buildings now. That's probably not good. I also lost all of my polys to actually rebuild that. This might still be a mess, but I think with my existing units, we should be able to push through here. There's a couple of them that are badly damaged, so maybe we can take them out like that. There we go. Let's focus fire down the ones on the front. Yeah. 36 enemy units remaining. Let's not lose my base at the last possible second, please. Oh, fire, die. I just want to see the... No, please. I need help. Oh boy. Okay, hold on, just a sec. Oh no! Just lost at the last possible second, but oh, I just got booted from the level. We have 30 low-level units remaining. Ah, boy. Okay, well that means I guess we're doing this again. Honestly, I'm not gonna run you through the entire level once more because we almost did it. It was literally, I think, the last couple of enemies that took out the main base. And honestly, I made a mistake there. I should have blocked this off. I didn't block it off. I did block it off now, so that would have kept the enemy at least out of sight of range of my nucleus for a moment longer. I also built a couple of these force fields now just to make sure we have some additional protection. There's probably going to need to be another force field or two added to the mix, just to make sure I have every angle covered. But honestly, it's just a little bit of detail, and I should have started that focus fire that I've done earlier as well. I'm not going to build any more spiders. I am going to be still building a couple of corvuses and a couple of air units. I do think the mix between these two are quite nice. And I still think that maybe the Oct that I had in between that is actually going to repair my units and protect my units at the same time was also quite useful in that last wave. So all in all, not a lot of changes. I might just fit in a few more turrets because I do have a little bit of space. And specifically I might want to do that with a couple of meltdowns, just because I can then no longer have to completely rely on the thorium actually getting there in time. But yeah, other than that, I think this should be a very smooth run now. Okay, I am 30 waves in already, and as you can see, I have 5 of my eclipses once again. I built another Oct. There is a total, what, 4 or 5 corvuses? Yeah, up and running. And I've now switched back to just producing corvuses because I do like the fact that I can focus fire down things with those, and I have a feeling I might need that. Last time around, I mostly lost it because my damage down here wasn't large enough, so I did add some more turrets in there, some specters, some meltdowns. Not that much, because honestly I don't have that much room over here, but I do think that this should work just fine. I built a little bit of extra power supply as well, so 8 more waves to go, and we'll see if this actually works now. It is interesting to note how much smoother the second time around for this level is, especially considering I've now been able to build a couple of more defenses. I know exactly where to position my units in order to optimize their DPS. I've never even come close to running out of ammunition, for example, even though that did happen several times throughout the initial try. Still, I'm a little bit worried about that last wave, but the difference is very noticeable. Well, I hope you're ready, because the enemy is here once again, and I'm still actually in the process of taking out the previous wave, but let's see if we can do a little bit better this time around. Now, what I'm actually thinking about doing is selecting just my corvuses and focus firing down whatever seems to be the main threat. Now, I'm not going to actively focus fire anything down, other than the fact that other when I really need to, for the main reason that I just want them kind of shooting at random on all of these units to begin with. Now, these are those healing units, so let's make sure we try to take those out as quickly as possible. That seemed to work quite well when we did it last time. So there we go. I think that takes care of most of them. Not entirely, but yeah, the last one should be going down now. Let's focus fire down the large ones, the higher tier ones, just to make sure they don't once again reach my base and start blowing things up at the last possible second. And yeah, as you can see, this is going a lot better than it did before. Still 100 enemies to go, but those 100 enemies are just low tier units as far as I can tell. Yeah, well, there's a couple of tier... Is it tier 4 or 5? I'm not entirely sure. But that's not going to be a problem, because they're not going to be able to get anywhere near my base. At least not the main base. And even if they do get a little bit closer, all these shields and all these turrets are going to be just fine by themselves. And even that is not counting for my tier 5 units. Okay, there we go. Sector officially captured now. A massive amount of defense, so I can't wait to lose the sector to some random attack from an enemy that I don't know is attacking. But other than that, sorry, I'm getting a little bit frustrated by that at this point. I'll try to stop complaining about it. And I think we only have a couple of levels to go, officially at least. How is my other sectors doing? I lost one of those random sectors that I captured a couple of episodes ago as well. This one is under attack. It is supposed to survive, but this is a pretty good example actually. It says 48% damage, but it is going to survive all the waves. Now, if I go to the sector, it is a little bit weird in terms of how I constructed this, so don't get me wrong. There is no there's a lot of stuff outside of my defenses. But if you look at the actual base, you can see there is no damage whatsoever to this particular sector. And then when I go to any other sector, and I now look at this again, it says 0% damage. So it seems to be doing some sort of calculation in the background where it is putting in fictional damage, so to say, without actually damaging specific buildings. And once this reaches 100%, I guess, it is going to fall. So that means I just need to check into the zone every now and then. But the annoying part is that you don't actually get warnings about thresholds of damage. So it would be nice if, for example, at some point you had a message coming up like, this zone is now 50% damaged. And then, okay, I'll just go there, see that nothing is damaged, go back, and then we can kind of reset that timer. Might be cheating the system a little bit, but yeah, I think that would make more sense, especially considering I think you only get the warning that you're under attack once, and then if you just keep playing, you lose a zone without realizing it, so that can be quite frustrating. Anyway, if you are still here, this was a long one, you are very awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one, where we're trying to wrap up this campaign.